So, has anyone ever lost their health? Maybe not completely, but I think all of us have had a health challenge or two, right? And it doesn't feel good. It takes a lot of time, energy, it affects a lot of parts of our life. So what I want to share with you guys tonight is some concepts and things that I've learned over 38 years, and that I believe if you truly integrate these into your life, if you want to have healthy longevity is one thing. If you're going to live a long time and you don't have quality of life, probably not too exciting, right? But if you really want to have longevity, see, in my mind, 80 is middle age. Anyone ever share that with you? I mean, if you look at the average age with the life insurance companies, and they're like 78 years old, I go, man, come on, we're just getting started at 80. So we're going to talk a little bit about mindset today, epigenetics, blood oxygenating the blood, cellular detoxification, fasting, bone and muscle health, and high intensity strength training. So of all those things that are up there, what would you guys say out of all 7 influences the human body more than anything else on that list?
Mindset. High intensity strength training.
He's been hanging around me for a while. Mindset's good because it starts there, but yes, from what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and as you guys see, as I weave through the information tonight, you'll see why we can make that statement, and I believe that it's backed by science, and mindset is very important too. That's why I'm starting with mindset. I love this quote, is that your mind could either be your prison or your palace. You decide what that's going to be. I've interviewed people in prison, and what's interesting is some of them, they can't function in society. They would rather be behind bars. But a lot of people walking around outside of bars in a psychological prison. And you don't have to be there. And it's a lot to do with mindset, belief, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because most of you said mindset, and you're right, a lot of it has to do with that first. So what do you think establishes our mindset? We don't just wake up one day and go, oh, this is what I believe. What sets our mindset? What establishes it? How do you come up with your mindset? Where do you think that comes from?
Surroundings.
Yeah, surroundings. Family.
Peer pressure.
Peer pressure. School. Church, if you were there. Work. Critical events. How you feel. Anybody else? You're all right. It's our belief systems. And guess where you got those belief systems? For everything you said. Our parents. You know how many people that I've coached over the years that are adults today that are not happy, and we finally peeled the onion back to figure out what it was? They are in a career today their parents wanted them to pursue, or society thought they should do, or peer pressure, or whatever it is. So our belief systems are established in a lot of different places. I was fortunate enough that all the stuff I saw as a kid, I go, this doesn't look right. So I'm not following any of those people. They may all think I'm crazy going this way, but I think they're crazy and where they're at, And so belief systems, and think about that. Think about what your belief systems are. Are they serving you? I mean, if things aren't going well and you're not happy today, not waiting for happiness, a lot of people are waiting that when I do this, get this, that happens, I'm going to be happy. Well, you're not then. And it's usually a belief that's holding you back. So what happens is when we establish our belief systems, that creates our choices and decisions. We make choices and decisions based on our belief system. Would you agree? Then that creates the habits, which creates our lifestyle. So that's what I've learned over all these years. This is what I've been able to put together and see. So when somebody comes to me for coaching, and it's always about health, after about the first session, we're not talking about health anymore for a while. We're going to talk about this stuff. Because how many diet programs are there out there? How many programs are there out there, and people are sicker, they're gaining more weight? That stuff doesn't work. It doesn't. So we're here today to give you some things that we believe can really help if you follow them. Okay? Healthy longevity, is that a belief? You think it's a belief?
Yes.
How many want to live a long time?
Yeah, there you go.
God, you should have every hand up. Man, you're in the wrong place if that's not. I would hope that everybody would want to have a long, healthy life. Age maybe makes a difference, but having a quality of life. And some of you that have struggled with health challenges, I've seen a lot of them. I've seen a lot in my days. And, you know, I've got a son that has struggled for 10 years with late-stage Lyme disease, and I've seen what it could do, not just personally in a home, but a lot of other people. I know Dr. Lapidus has seen people that, yeah, you can do everything right, and things can still happen, but there's a lot of things you can do proactive and preventative to have a long, healthy life. And here's the other belief. Regardless of whatever health challenge you have, if you have the belief that you can fix it, you can. Do you believe that? And if somebody tells you different, fire them. You can change. You don't have to, wherever you're at, whatever challenge it is, whatever it may be, you can get better. Here's a big one. People say, Chris, I believe all that. Okay, I'm going to watch you for the next 30 days. Are your actions congruent with your belief system? There are people are great talkers. And then you watch them live their life. And that's where a good coach comes in, to be the tough love, not coddle them and tell them what their family and friends tell them, everything they want to hear. Just say, you know, here's what you told me is important to you, but your day-to-day life is not, it doesn't match up, you know. So beliefs around health and healing. Placebo effect. You guys have all heard of the placebo effect, huh? So one of the best proofs that beliefs have a powerful impact is that right under the noses of most physicians in the world, the placebo effect. You know that a drug gets approved by the FDA, 50% the drug, the other 50% is placebo. And they could still approve medication. It shows you how powerful the placebo is. Well, what is the placebo? It's a belief system. It's a mindset. You're believing whatever they're giving you, whether it's the actual drug or a sugar pill, that you're going to get better. Have you guys ever heard of Deepak Chopra? Yep. He's got some great information out there. He's an MD, started there, that went into more of the, you know, holistic health, you know, and he talks about, you know, some of the patients that he works with, over 30% of the patients experience the same pain relief as if they were getting a pain medication administered to them from a placebo. Now, hey, medical intervention is amazing. We need that, and there are times that you need medication, no doubt. So I'm not here to say that medication is not good. It is good for certain times, if you know what you're doing with it. But the placebo effect, the belief about what it is that you're doing is huge. It's really, really big. So what's your mindset around aging? How long do you want to live? Have you ever thought about that? The first time I started talking like this, people were like, no one ever asked me that. Anybody want to just throw their arm up? Some of you have been hanging around me for a while. You already know what I'm going to say, but how long do you want to live? Don't be shy. We're going to push you out. We're going to push you out of your comfort zone tonight. No one's ever asked that question before, and that's a great answer, as long as you feel good. Age?
If I'm healthy, 95.
95? Okay.
I'm super healthy.
So years ago at Stanford University, I was 21 years old, and I went to a lecture there, listened to a guy by the name of Walter Bortz. You can Google his name, Walter Bortz. At the time, he was in his 50s, and I thought, man, that guy's old. I'm 21. But he got my attention, because what he said was that At the time, he was the leading expert in gerontology, studying people 100 years and older. And what he said, based on science and research, the average human body, barring any disease, average human body could live to 120, quality of life. And I thought, little cocky 21-year-old, I go, I don't ever want to be average. I'm going to live to 160. And I still believe that. I don't know, maybe I'm going to live tonight. It's going to be my last, but you know what? It's a mindset. So, you know, my insurance guy and my financial planner goes, man, Chris, I don't know how we're going to figure that thing out. You better stay healthy so you can keep making money. There's no such thing as retirement. So what age do you consider to be old age? What would you guys consider as old age?
They don't let you drive anymore.
They don't let you drive anymore. That's great. That's a great answer. Yeah. We just went through that with my mom right now, and boy, that's tough. 82, and had to take her car away. Not, even though she's in good shape, but she shouldn't be behind the wheel for all of our sake. But nobody's ever asked you these questions, right? But what would you think is old age?
80s.
80 what?
In the 80s.
80s? Okay. 80s?
I think
90s
90.
old?
Yeah.
When I'm sick.
When you're sick?
I mean really sick.
Satchel Paige, how many baseball fans out there? Age is a question of the mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't really matter. Pretty. And you know that he was playing baseball in his 40s and 50s because he didn't even know how old he was. He was so poor, he didn't know how, he was the youngest rookie to ever play baseball in his 40s. He didn't know how old he was, so nobody told him. So he just kept going. So, have you ever looked into the future at what your life is going to look like at 80 and beyond? I used to just put 80 there, but now that we're getting closer to 80, I got to say beyond. Some of you, I've had people say, Chris, I'm already 80. Oh, I better put beyond on here. Here's why. No matter where you're at today, whatever your goals are, whether it be health, relationships, whatever it is, job, anything, if you don't have a vision for the future, you're not going to make the right decisions today. If you know what you want your life to look like at 80, then you're going to back into that and you'll start making better decisions. Or you won't, and that's okay too. It's your life. There's no wrong or right way. You get to set the rules. You guys set your own rules. Forget what society has to say. I think they've failed big time. So I don't know about you, but I'm not following their rules. I don't like it. Both of these women are the same age. Okay? 80 years old. One decided to change her life. The other one didn't. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she didn't care. It's nothing against looking like that at all. I'm just saying that we have this idea that 80 is old. She doesn't look old. She didn't even start taking care of herself till she was 57. Stressful life, pretty ugly past, amazing story. She travels the world now speaking to people. Just an amazing woman. One of my inspirations. When I first met her and listened to her, I thought, wow, that is really cool. These two guys are the same age, 80 years old. So is 80 old? It's not about having to look buffed or anything. It's just about health, right? But if he could do it, he could do it. If he wanted to. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe nobody told him that their opportunity was out there. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about epigenetics. Anybody heard of epigenetics before or understood it? There's been a lot of confusion out there. People get epigenetics confused with DNA testing, and epigenetic testing is a little different. But it is a factor today that we can do. There's a lot of things that we can measure now to look and see what your epigenetic potential is. And I believe it's one of the keys to longevity. Right, Dr. Lapidus? I know we agree on that. I know that. Yeah. So what is epigenetics? It's a study of how our environment actually controls our own gene expression. Our environment. Okay? Now, no more, they say no more 80% genes, because until recently the doctors and scientists believed that longevity was primarily determined by 80% genetics. How many times have you heard that? I know I grew up many years thinking genetics, and I used to think, man, that's not good, because, man, everybody on both sides of my family are horrible health. I'm changing that picture. And it has nothing to do with genetics. There's a certain percentage, 25% now, scientists are saying now, is genetic. The other 75% can be influenced by your lifestyle. Now you're in control, not your genetic predisposition. My ex-wife, her grandmother died at 40 from breast cancer. Her mother got breast cancer at 40, and she got breast cancer at 40. A program that said, we all get breast cancer at 40. So the good news is, if you want, you're in control. It's what you do in your lifestyle that makes the difference. And then there's all these other microbiological organisms that affect our body today more than ever. Mold, fungus, parasites, radiation, viruses, toxins, stress, chemicals, bacteria, and the EMFs. Does everybody know what EMFs are? Electromagnetic fields. So all this great technology that we love. How many are excited about the 5G coming? We're in the right crowd. We don't want it here. We should all be talking to the local politicians and make sure 5G does not get into the Central Coast. And it's not Coach Chris talking. It's a technology. They sell it that it's going to speed things up for you because we want things faster. But if you look at the studies that no one's publishing on there that are out there, basically will probably cause half the young kids today to be sterile.
What is this?
5G technology.
And what is that?
It's you know those big cell towers you see that are 3 and 4G technology now? Well, they want to do 5G, and some areas have done that. And again, I just do the research and I read it. I don't want to be a guy that's doggy downer here. It's just that I like to look at that stuff. Sometimes we can't change things, but we can do certain things to protect ourselves from the EMFs. We've got to live in it. You know, there's a lot of things. I could do a whole talk just on that, how to protect your house and yourself from it. The good thing is there are things that you can do out there, but EMFs is something that, you know, is hard to measure. You know, some people don't know how the exposure is to their body on the EMFs. And today, it's creating a lot of challenges, especially for the younger kids today. Their little brains aren't ready for all this stuff. Heck, our brains aren't ready for it. Yeah. We've just been around a little longer. So there are ways to measure, you know, epigenetic factors and how they influence the body. So there's some things you can do with blood testing. So you could talk to your doctor, you could talk to Dr. Lapidus. There's certain blood tests that you can run that can look at these different things in your body: gene expression, brain function, blood sugar, cholesterol, everybody knows about that, inflammation markers, hormones, and methylation detox pathways. How's your body detoxing? How are the pathways in the body detoxing? And that could be all done through blood. We've got a pretty cool mechanism in our office now that we can do this with hair in 15 minutes. And we can actually figure out all that stuff that's going on in your body, how the environment is affecting your body, but we can also see how the EMFs are affecting your body. You can't measure the EMFs in blood. We can measure it in hair because it's frequency. So there's a lot of great tools out there that are available to you to start looking at that stuff, and you'd be surprised how many people come in there and you see off the charts with electromagnetic field radiation. A lot of other things that are affecting their body. Fasting. We're going to talk a little bit about fasting. Anybody ever do a fast? Get off of it real fast, right? There's a million different fasting mechanisms out there. You know, There's spiritual fast, there's religious fast, there's one-day fast, water fast. I mean, go Google fasting and you'll find, a bunch of it. And they all work to some degree. But the one that I found that has influenced the body better than anything is intermittent fasting. And most people can do that. I have people say, Chris, I'm going to do a 40-day fast. I'm thinking, you can't stop eating for 40 minutes. And you're going to do a 40-day fast? And you're going to starve yourself? And it's dangerous. A lot of people will do a water fast 3 to 5 days. And if you don't know what you're doing and coming off the fast and starting to eat, you can get yourself really, really sick. Now there's, if you're going to do a water fast more than 3 days, you should have that medically supervised. It's not just during the fast, it's when you come off. But the intermittent fasting is something that I believe everybody can do, and it's effective. It's based on science. It can do so much to your body. So we like to call it the 16-8 fasting clock. Anybody ever heard of that, or has anyone done intermittent fasting? Well, that's okay. You started. You just keep trying.
When I wake up till 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Start at 6 p.m.
Good. Many, many, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, we only ate 2 meals a day. And then, boy, the marketing people came in and look I was one of those guys for all the years in bodybuilding preached, eat 6 times a day because that's what I was taught. Worst thing you can ever do is eat 6 times a day. Your body never has a chance to rest. 2 meals is all you really need. It takes time to get there, but you eat like at noon and you eat at 6, and you don't have anything to eat from 6 or 7 on till noon the next day. And it took me about a year to unwind my old mindset of 6 meals a day, and you got to eat breakfast. I mean, I preached that for 30 years. And sometimes people need breakfast. That's fine. You can fast the other way around. Just give your body a rest. So maybe you eat breakfast and lunch and you skip dinner. The key is just to get to a place where you're having 2 meals within about a 6-hour period, 7-hour period, and fasting the rest of the time.
Is it also what you eat?
And of course it's what you eat, yeah. Now, for some people, I always like to start people, don't think you're going to change everything tomorrow. You've been eating a certain way for 30 years. Then they want to go buy the new sweatsuit, the new tennis shoes, start a diet, do an exercise program, and they're going to do all that stuff tomorrow. And so, look, body fat, if you want to lose body fat long term, 4 to 6 pounds a month is about max. Anything more than that, you're going to lose muscle, you're going to lose other water and everything else. Not that it's a bad thing, but I've seen this for 40 years. The Jenny Craig weight loss system, its business model was built on 70% repeat business. So what does that tell you? Lose 20, you gain 30. Go back, do it all over again. Definition of insanity.
And so is that daily? You do that every day?
Yep, every day. Yeah. And just start slow. For some people, maybe you need morning, how I kind of bridged into it, I would have these fat bomb coffee drinks in the morning, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, and a bunch of stuff in my coffee, kind of kept my, hunger down, and I was able to transition to being able to skip breakfast, because for so many years I trained my body to eat 6 times a day. It was really a difficult thing for me to master, but I think a good coach should always have gone through it, not just read about it. If you don't live it and don't understand what people are going to go through, it's tough to teach. A lot of people out there teaching things that they've never done themselves, But I mean, significant benefits on fasting. Would you say that's pretty important? I mean, boy, it's, and when this whole fasting thing started, the initial intermittent fasting, they were using it for people that were very, very sick. And then they figured out, wow, we can get healthy this way too. But they was healing people that had some very, like a lot of cancer doctors out there will use intermittent fasting and keto type diet with cancer patients. So if it's going to help people that are very ill, dealing with some degenerative issues, I think it's healthy for everybody to start to incorporate that. If you choose, if there's one thing you could just do and start doing that, boy, it makes a huge difference. And when people say, Chris, I can't afford to eat organic, start doing intermittent fasting. Cut down one meal. That'll save you money. No, really. You can afford it. It's a mindset, right? It's a belief system. And now, look, some of the big box grocery stores now are doing all organic. It's a lot easier today to buy, quality stuff, and it's worth it. But just start skipping a few meals, your grocery bill is going to go down. So, I want to transition to our next topic of blood oxygen. Oxygen in our blood. And you think that's an important thing? Is oxygen an important thing? Probably one of the most critical elements, right? 90% of our body's energy comes from oxygen, about 10% from food and water. So without oxygen, pretty tough to live. And a low blood oxygen environment deprives the cells of essential nutrients. So there are some people that are taking a ton of supplements and they're not doing anything. They're not even absorbing them in the cells of their body. A lot of different factors. Low blood oxygen could be one of them. That's why you've got to do testing to figure out what it is that you're doing. And lack of oxygen, just what Dr. Lapis says, is the main cause of a lot of disease. That's why she measures it in her clinic. It's got to be a standard biomarker for most people, especially as we're actively aging. I don't like to say aging, it's actually gaining wisdom. Aging is not a good word. It means aging. You guys don't like aging either. It weakens your immune system. It's tough for you to fight off different bacteria, inflammation, heart disease, toxic buildup, and premature aging. There's that aging thing again. So a lot of times when you go to certain, doctors that don't really take a holistic approach, they'll look at your blood work and such, and they'll just say, oh yeah, well, we have medication for all that. Not that you don't need some medication in those areas, but there's other things that you can do too, right? You might need some medication, but there's things that you can do to increase the oxygen in your blood, looking at different biomarkers and making some different lifestyle changes, right? So what causes low blood oxygen? Remember I said strength training? What's the first one there? Poor level of fitness. A very inexpensive way to increase your blood oxygen is some kind of a fitness, but strength training beats everything. And I really believe that one of the reasons my lungs are that of a 30-year-old is that I've been strength training for 40 years. So, if you're not doing that, we need to talk. Some of the other causes: acidic body pH, fatigue, toxins, sleep apnea, high altitude respiratory problems, stress, metabolic diseases. Otto Warburg. Anybody ever hear of Otto Warburg? Brilliant guy, Nobel Prize winner. He was the one that figured out that water actually has energy. And that they can show you that by yelling at the water and being angry can change the molecular structure of the water versus loving the water. And they could see that scientifically. He's that guy. And he makes a pretty profound statement here that poor blood oxygen is probably the number one cause of declining health and disease. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would add to that anxiety, and people hold their breath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They
trap CO2.
Yeah. So, you guys are getting all the good things here. So how do we oxygenate our blood? Now, I can do a whole seminar on certain foods. I put certain foods there because the list would be too long. But it's not fast food or food in a box. So if you're doing that, cut that off the list. You guys would probably know what certain foods are, and that's healthy foods. Mostly leafy greens, good quality protein, grass-fed, organic, non-GMO, all that kind of stuff, right? You got to stay hydrated. Most people don't. I read statistics years ago that over 50% of office visits to a general practitioner, symptom-wise, going into the doctor's office is dehydration. So if you're 130 pounds, you should be drinking about 65 ounces of water a day, about half a gram per pound of body weight, half ounce per pound of body weight. You can't drink too much, but most people don't drink enough. And soda is not water. And if you drink coffee like I love coffee, then you got to up the water intake. Certain supplements, again, I say certain because depending on what kind of testing you get done and what supplements you may need, it's going to be different for everybody, but there are certain supplements that you can take. One in particular like CoQ10. Anybody take CoQ10? Any kind of heart stuff going out, CoQ10 is a great one, but there's other ones too that are out there that really help. Ketogenic diet. We talked about that earlier. We should have figured that out in the 80s. Intermittent fasting. Okay? Massage. That's good. Deep diaphragmatic breathing. Like Dr. Lapidus was saying, most of us shallow breathe. When you see a baby that's first born, they know how to breathe. We screw it up. And that's why they want the baby to cry right when the baby's first born, gets that breath, and they start doing deep diaphragmatic breathing in their stomach. We don't do that anymore. We breathe up here. It's amazing we've lasted this long. Hyperbaric chamber. We got Mr. Hyperbaric back there. Anybody that's ever used a hyperbaric chamber, they're here, a part of Dr. Lapidus' clinic. They have their hyperbaric chambers here. Another amazing tool for increasing oxygenation in the blood. High intensity strength training. So all you guys have to do is do every one of those, and you're gonna have perfect blood oxygen. Ozone. So most of you guys know what ozone is. You know, it's electrically charged. It's a different molecule and electrically charged, and then it goes after like all the bad guys, cleans it up and kills it, and then it reverts back to pure oxygen O2. So ozone is another miracle gas that is amazing for the body. Anyone ever used any ozone? A few of you in here. Good stuff. So here's some of the benefits of ozone. You think those are pretty important? Why? Because it's super oxygenating your blood. The ozone is like regular O2 on steroids. So we're going to go into some cellular detox now. Again, I can do an entire presentation just on cellular detox. If you go to Google and hit cellular detox, oh my God, you'll get a headache. And most of it, what does it even mean, or who's telling you how to do it? But again, basic fundamental stuff. It doesn't have to eat the right kind of foods and supplementation, okay? Support your gut. You've got to really make sure the gut, this is your immune system right here. Exercise, again, there's that exercise again. Reduce toxicity, inflammation. You know, for many, many years, they were telling us that because heart disease still is the #1 killer, it's not going to be for long, it'll be cancer. It's getting close. But they said it was cholesterol that was creating all the heart disease. Well, now it's not cholesterol. It's toxicity and inflammation, mostly inflammation. So important to reduce toxicity and inflammation in the body. For your immune system, a lot of things we're talking about here tonight. Drink plenty of water again. Infrared steam sauna. Anybody ever use an infrared steam sauna? Really, really good. For cellular detox. You know, there's detox, or no, it starts over here. There's cleanses. They're like just little Gucci things you can do that sounds good. I went on a cleanse. Then there's detox. Then there's cellular detox. So it kind of goes in that way if you really want to clean up. It's good to start with maybe a cleanse, do a regular detox, and then a deep type of detox too, because we got to walk out that door again today, breathe the air, drink the water, eat food. Even though we make good choices, our body's still getting bombarded with quite a bit. And then of course oxygenate the blood, which is what we talked about. So of course I've got to share with you guys our ozone sauna. This is a perfect example of what happens inside our Hocket, where you've got CO2 and O3 going on, fully oxygenating your body transdermally through your skin. Our skin is our largest organ. So your body's being fully immersed and oxygenated with that. Boy, you take the hyperbaric chamber and the Hocket and put those two together, you'll be flying. So, anybody here a dark field microscope? So one of the local doctors that we work with here, Dr. Marquis also, with his very, a lot of his patients that are struggling and they're trying to find some answers, very complicated, he's starting to use the dark field and look at the blood. So he called me up, he says, Chris, I got this one gal, we need to get her 6 Hocket sessions as quick as possible. She's really, really sick, young gal, on top of some other things he was doing. So this was her blood prior to 6 Hocket sessions, where there's some type of opportunistic bacteria in here, and see how the blood is all close together there? Hardly any oxygenation in the blood. After 6, fully immersing her in oxygenation in the Hocket, after 6 sessions, this is what her blood looks like. She's a new person today. Amazing. This is what gets excited for doing what we do. There's a lot of great things out there. We really are, everybody here living on the Central Coast with all the different healthcare practitioners around here on the Central Coast are doing amazing things, and that's why we all like to work together, because there's not just one thing that works and everybody's different. But we want to highlight the things. I was talking to Michael today, he was sharing the benefits of a young kid that they had with his hyperbaric chamber, and I said, when you hear those stories, it reminds you why you do what you do. Why you work 12, 15 hours a day, you invest your time, your money. It's those stories, right, that you see that people's lives are changed. Eternally, too. You give them hope. Especially when it comes to their health. They've been down the road and have been to many doctors, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and after a while they don't think there's anything out there. I can tell you that I have this belief that there's somebody on the Central Coast here that can help you with whatever challenge you're going through. That much confidence in all the different types of doctors, healthcare professionals working on the Central Coast. We are very fortunate to be in this county. Really, really are. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Bone health. Everybody's heard of osteoporosis, right? That's kind of a familiar thing. This is what you want your bones to look like. That's what happens. They call that osteoporotic. And did you know that osteoporosis is a disease? You know that? It is a disease. How big is it? Well, look at this. Breast cancer, heart attack, strokes, fractures. 2 million over all these other things, annual occurrences, that people that have fallen down and broken a bone due to osteoporosis. It's a big, big problem. So it's something that a lot of people don't talk about today. But it's, as we continue to gain wisdom, remember, we're not using that aging word, that, things break down and you got to take care of that stuff. Bone health is really important. So our skeletal system, we don't think too much about the skeletal system because we can't look at it. But our skin is our largest organ. Under the skin's our muscle. Under the muscle is the skeleton. Some pretty important things. Would you agree? We don't think about, how are my bones doing today? But it's important. We got to be thinking about our musculoskeletal system. Well, here's the good news. Remember I said it doesn't matter where you are because you can always get better. If you're doing the right things, you can actually build bone every 7 to 10 years if you're doing the right things. So if you go get a bone density score or any other type of mechanisms that's testing bone density and it's low, okay, it's a baseline now. Now you know where you're at, and there's ways to improve that. It's exciting. See, there's no We're the people of hope. We're not going to tell you, oh, you're doomed. Sorry, it's too late. No, that's not going to happen, right? So you can actually rebuild bone. Pretty exciting. Has anyone heard of sarcopenia? Everybody knows about osteoporosis. Most people I talk to have never heard of sarcopenia. Who hasn't heard of it? So half the room. It's a progressive loss of skeletal muscle. So osteoporosis is bone loss. Sarcopenia is muscle loss. You're going to start hearing more and more and more about sarcopenia. Why? There's that word again. The aging population have lost so much muscle mass. So if you have sarcopenia, you have osteoporosis, guaranteed. Because if your muscles are strong, your bones are going to be strong. If your muscles are weak, your bones are going to be weak. Look at this. Again, good news. See, sarcopenia is thought to affect 30% of individuals over 60 of age and 50% over 80. But here's, oh, I'm not to that. I'm way ahead of myself. I want to show you the good news. The possible effects of sarcopenia is decreased muscle mass, what we talked about, problems with mobility, fertility, and weak bones, osteoporosis, fails fractures, decreased activity levels. So how many times have you heard of somebody that fell down, broke their hip, and some have died from that? And it's not just grandma, grandpa, and great-grandma anymore. It's happening a lot younger. It's because of people's diet today, lifestyle, toxicity, bones today are, you're probably seeing a lot more in your practice now. At younger, we used to think this is what happened when you were 70 or 80. I see it in people in their 30s and 40s today. Some kids even already. That's what sarcopenia looks like. So your muscles are totally atrophied. This young man here has no muscles in his back, so this is rolling over like this. The head's moving forward. When the head is tilted that much, the head weighs about 42 pounds. They call that the 42-pound head. So you'll see people like that. He goes this way first, hunch over, and that's how they walk. And then sometimes this way. And unless you start doing something about it, that is a gentleman right there that's in full-blown sarcopenia. Guarantee his bones are brittle. So here's kind of a diagram of, what can cause sarcopenia. Look at all the different things over here that cause it too. Hormones, inflammation, vascular dysfunction, insulin resistance, blood sugar, obesity, sedentary lifestyle. So, you're going to hear more and more about sarcopenia. I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, everybody's going to know what sarcopenia is. Just like we all learned about osteoporosis. So what do you think the number one thing you could do to prevent and reverse osteoporosis and sarcopenia? Let's see. What's that number one thing you can do? All right, you guys are good. High intensity strength training. So you've heard of HIIT, high intensity interval training. That's not bad, but high intensity strength training, resistance type exercise where you're loading the muscle is what you want to strive for, okay? Scientific now, I could have given you guys 100 different, things to look at today, literature just that has come across my desk in the last 6 months about the benefits of high intensity type training. It reverses the aging genes and reverses the aging process. Scientifically, not Coach Chris saying that. Who would like to reverse the aging process? Increase the quality of your life. Richard? Yeah. Can we do it, Hillary? Can we do it for Richard? Do you think we could do it? So, you guys, there's always a lot of studies. They do studies on rats and animals and stuff, and it's great. It gives the scientific community a lot of information, but I like to really look at human studies because we're humans. You know, we're not rats, but we learn a lot from what they can do with rats. But Simon Maloff, an amazing gentleman, identified 179 genes related to aging that were able to revert back to the youthful levels of gene expression. Remember we talked about that in epigenetic slides? 26 weeks of strength training influenced 179 genes. So, you want to look 30 again? We have it for you. We got all kinds of things. We got all this stuff here too, but I tell you, there's nothing, you don't have to go anywhere. It's all right here. So muscle mass and strength. We talked about the skeletal system. It's the largest endocrine organ. We don't think about our musculoskeletal system much, do you? You ever go to the doctor? I had a client come in the other day, and this one gal struggling with her health for a long time. So she went to yet another doctor. And here's what the doctor told her. You have muscle disease. The heck is muscle disease? He didn't even know what it was. She had sarcopenia. All I had to do is look at her. I said, you need to start strength training. I know you don't feel good, but you don't have muscle disease. She was scared to death. She just didn't have any muscle and her whole body was collapsing. Her organs are starting to collapse because there was no support to support her organs. So he didn't know anything other than say, oh, you have a disease that's eating all your muscle. Didn't have any solutions for her. I'm not faulting the guy, he doesn't know, you know. And she's scared to death, but we put some hope back into her life. Independently associated with functional ability and balance, strength. Look at this. This is the slide I was getting ahead of myself on. 30% strength lost over 12 years in the older generation was restored in 1 year of routine strength training. So I have people say, Chris, I haven't lifted weights in 40 years. It's okay. Give me a year, give me 2 years, not 1 week, and we'll get you there. But look at this. High intensity strength training, they were able to get those same results within weeks that took basic strength training 1 year. Still not bad. So you can reverse it. Ready for that, Richard? Picking on you tonight. So let's talk about biomarkers. We all know biomarkers, gene expression, brain function. Is brain function important today?
Yeah.
You know, they did a study a while back, studying the aging population. They asked them what their biggest fear was as they aged. Most people thought they would have said cancer because cancer is so epidemic today. No, losing their dementia and Alzheimer's. Brain health is one of the biggest fears the aging population has, right? You guys see it. They're doing amazing things with that. So you can influence brain function with strength training too. All these biomarkers here, would you say they're important? All those biomarkers can be revived or improved through strength training. Scientifically, this isn't me saying this, scientifically, you can go Google it, you'll see that these particular biomarkers of health that you can test through blood can be affected through strength training. I'm working with a guy in San Francisco right now that does these types of studies, and we're going to start doing studies, our own studies, on strength training and how it's affecting people pre and post blood work. It's going to be pretty cool. We don't want to wait for everybody else to do it. We're going to do it right here on the Central Coast. So take a look at this. 74-year-old sedentary man, adipose tissue, that's the fat. These are his quadriceps. They split it, took a picture. This is the muscle here. This is the fat. This is the same. This is the quadricep of a 40-year-old athlete. A little different. Check this out, though. Same 70-year-old athlete, triathlete. Sedentary, same age. Look at the difference. They took and spliced that muscle and took a picture of that. All muscle, hardly any fat around adipose tissue with fat around that at all. Pretty exciting, isn't it? Check this out. It gets better. 92-year-old guy. Before and after. 12 weeks of resistance training. Look at the difference. 92 years old. You think he thinks 80's old? Heck no. Look at that. 44% increase in muscle mass. mass and improved bone density. Pretty exciting. 92. See, that's what I visualize. Right, Julie? I talk about where we're going to be walking the beach and climbing the hills at about 160. But strong bone density. So we're kind of getting to the end here. So, here's the thing. All exercise is not equal. People confuse exercise with strength training. They're different. Chris, I walk. That's good. Don't stop walking. Don't stop biking. Don't stop doing yoga, Pilates, hiking, swimming, whatever activity is good. Don't stop doing that. But it's not strength training. It's not. So when people say, oh, I'm very active, you got sarcopenia. It's good. Your heart's probably pumping a little better than most, but it's not strength training. So the exercise effect does not equal effective exercise. Until now. So, as I shared earlier, I've been doing this stuff for 40 years. And we're just excited about the technologies that we've brought to the Central Coast because nobody else has them. Within 4 hours north to Santa Rosa and 6 hours south to Palm Springs. We're the only ones that has the Hocket and this equipment. Now, I could have gone into the health club business again. I was in it for 15 years. There's a lot of great health clubs out there. But health clubs are growing at the same rate obesity is growing. Why do I want to participate in that chaos? All right? 81% of the population don't even go to a health club. The underserved market, the people that are looking for hope, is the market that we want to serve. Because there's enough good people doing other things out there for the population that wants what they want. But we wanted to create stuff and work with doctors that are doing things that other people just aren't doing to give you guys opportunity to change your life if you want to. So here's the ARX equipment. It's safe, effective, it's efficient, and we can quantify it. So for those of you people that love technology, you're engineer types and want to quantify everything, boy, we can do that for you. Those are the two pieces of equipment that we have. So with these two pieces of equipment, in 20 minutes, twice a week is all you can do. If you just did it once a week, you will put on more muscle than if you went to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. I guarantee it. Because the load that this is putting on your muscle is amazing. So, how many people value their time? Everybody has a job or a career, or you own the business, so you pretty much calculate what you're worth per hour, I would hope. And it should be priceless. But whatever your income is, you pretty much know what you make an hour. Time's precious. Everybody's fighting with time. I don't know about you, but I'd rather go work out 20 minutes and get better results than 5 hours in the gym. I'm never going to have to walk into the gym again. I was so happy to cancel my gym membership. And I had gyms for 15 years. But it's not efficient and effective for the aging population. There are people that need something safe, that they don't have to get hurt. We can customize it to you. We have a few people in here that are already doing it. Show of hands. Yeah. Pretty exciting to see in such a short period of time the results that are happening. And what did you say, Sharon? Your friend said you're standing up straighter.
Yeah.
See? Isn't that amazing? And you were at a computer your whole life, right? You said you were, yeah, drafting table. Yeah, that probably wasn't good for the posture. No. No, I know, I feel like I'm standing up better, and I've been working out for a long time. A couple more of our trainers here. That's just a little more of a shot. That's it. We have a room that's about 300 square feet. That's all you need. You don't have to take a shower. You don't sweat. You don't have to come in gym clothes. We have women that come in out of the office, take their high heels off, go in there, work out, put their high heels back on. Guys take their tie off, their sport coat, put it down, get a workout, go back to the board meeting. I'm telling you, really. You all know, let's just take a bench press for example, okay? When you push this way, right? you're actually tearing the muscle down. That's what you want. Then when you leave the gym, you rebuild the muscle when you're resting, giving it protein and doing all the things you need to do. But when the weight comes back down, you're doing nothing, right? It just drops on you. And for some people, it drops fast. You can't control it slow enough. If you could, that's high intensity strength training. This is the only thing out there in the world that can do that. We can control the weight coming down. You'll never beat the machine, ever. They've got some of the strongest men in the world to try to get on that equipment and break it. They couldn't do it.
I tried today.
Yeah, Gary tried. He's always trying. I go, what's all that noise in there? Oh, Gary's in there. Okay. He's trying to break it. He's trying to prove it wrong. Ex-big football player here, so these guys want to come in there and they want to push on that. But I'm telling you, it's amazing. So if you're in there for 20 minutes, you know how much time your body is actually under load, where the machine is actually, you're doing something. About 6 to 8 minutes. You feel like you worked out for an hour, hour and a half, right? So it is, I mean, when I first looked at this, my business partner showed it to me. Boy, it took me about 6 months to get my arms around this, because I come from a traditional weight training, bodybuilding, but the more and more I learned about this, realizing who is it that we want to serve on the Central Coast, who is our customer, I go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It is an amazing piece of equipment.
Did somebody before say that their posture is better?
Yeah. Sharon?
I find that every time I work out, I walk out of there like,
Doesn't that feel, yeah, I go, here comes Gary, man. We're going to have to buy some new shirts there.
it lasts longer and longer.
Yeah, does it? Yeah, and when you do the workout, you feel the effects of it for a few days, right? Some of you that have been doing it, it's amazing, and it's not that soreness that you would get like a lactic acid buildup when you haven't worked out in 50 years, and you go do an exercise workout, and you're like, oh my God, I can't even move. All that lactic acid, just get in the Hocket will clear you up. But no, you don't get that kind of a feeling. So we're wrapping up here. That way we can keep some time for questions. And it's 7 o'clock right now. That's right. But we were only going to go to 7:30. Okay, I'm doing good. Just want to make sure I'm not taking all your time. So do some weight-bearing exercises at least twice a week. Okay? Know your risk for fractures, muscle loss, get screened and diagnosed. Okay, if you guys don't have a place to figure out where to get a bone density scan, I'm sure Dr. Lapidus can help you, get that. That is the information you need to know. You want to know what your bone density is. Paramount. Okay? Integrate intermittent fasting. How many have done it or doing it or can do it?
I'm going to start.
There we go. Good. Good. If you see the clock that I have in my office, it doesn't have a 1, 2, 3, 4, all those numbers. It says now. Now o'clock. So when should you start? Now. Like, that's why I did a workshop 3 weeks ago, and I'm doing another one now. Not waiting until the New Year's resolutions that never work. So I want to help you guys go into the new year way ahead of 90% of the population. Because everyone's going to do it. I watched it for years. I was in the health club business for 15 years. I watched it like clockwork. Here they come. They set the resolution in January. They think about it. They go look for the health club. They join in February. They buy the new sweatsuit. They're gone in 90 days. Happens every year. Get your baseline biomarkers measured, okay? Through blood, I was talking to you about some other testing that we could do. There's all kinds of ways, depending on what your goals are. Make sure you get those, explore your epigenetic testing. See how the nutrients are affecting you, how the lifestyle is affecting you. Remember epigenetics. So you can go home now and tell your parents or grandparents if still alive, ha ha ha, it has nothing to do with genetics anymore. I'm going to change the family deal here, right? Integrate some kind of a cellular detox program. Oxygenate the blood. Very, very important. A lot of different ways to do it. Everybody's, pick one, pick them all, but do one. So, Gail, you want to hand those out? What we want to talk to you guys about is the gift of health to yourself. You're no good to anybody else if you're not healthy yourself. We have clients that come in the center that are focused on getting themselves healthy. You know why? They're caretakers of their spouse, maybe some for their kids, and they're realizing that they're not any good if something happens to them. Has anyone ever been a caretaker? It is hard, right? It's tough. We talked about belief system over here, and then we talked about your life over here. Are you congruent? Only you can hold yourself accountable. So if you want a long quality of life, invest in yourself. And I don't want to, say that, apologize for pushing you as a coach. Because there's enough people in your life that are going to coddle you and tell you everything that they think you want to hear and not really help you. But you're worth it. Invest in yourself. We see it all day long. Some people coming in, it breaks our hearts. And if you have a vision for what you want your life to look like at 80, it starts today. And if you don't want to take care of yourself, give that to someone else that does. It's important. It really is. I don't know. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much time you have. If your health isn't good, and I don't know about you, but for me, everything's about legacy. So Julie and I, my wife in the back, hiding back there, she came in, she was running the office tonight while I was here talking. For us, we want our kids to take this on, and we want our hope is that our kids will live the same lifestyle. So when we got married, we drew a line in the sand and said, no more dysfunctional lifestyle on both sides of the family. We're creating a new legacy. The Chris and Julie Kuchera legacy. We're not buying into genetics. We're not buying into this is what we learned as children. None of that stuff. And we decided we're going to change it. And as a result of that, we're excited. We didn't want to be those kind of parents that told our kids what to do. But I can tell you both of them know how to read labels. Our daughter at 17 can run our whole business if we'd let her. And they figured it out on their own. And yeah, did they eat all the junk? Did we all eat all the junk? Of course. It's not about being perfect. But I'm just saying, if you've got kids and grandkids, it starts with us.